Joining me now is Boaz Ganor, president of Reichman University and founder of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really great to have you with us to share your thoughts on this. If you can remind us from your perspective, Hamas's intention in taking these hostages and how it continues to make Israel's calculus more problematic as time goes on.
We need to understand that this horrific attack that Israel was facing 3 weeks ago was planned for more than a year. It was pre-planned by Iran, by Hezbollah, and the executors were Hamas terrorists. It started with an enormous massacre on a holiday. In the morning, 1,400 Israelis were butchered. But the plan was to take with them back to Gaza hundreds of hostages. They took 239 babies, kids, women, elderly people, wounded, all together. This is an unprecedented situation. We never had this in Israel. Probably we never had this type of attack in the world. The magnitude of this attack. The reason that Hamas did that was that they knew that Israel will retaliate against them, and they want to use, first of all, those hostages as human shields to protect their facilities, military facilities, the headquarters, and so on and so forth. On the second stage, they want to use them as bargain chips in order to free all the convicted terrorists from the jail in Israel.
I'm talking to you on a strategic level, which of course sometimes can feel callous given the humanitarian tragedy that is unfolding, but it is really important. Obviously, when we look at the anatomy of terrorism, that the Hydra is often used as an analogy, the idea that you take one terrorist out and two crop up in their place. Do you think that Israel's retaliation is playing right into Hamas's hands from that perspective?
Well, Israel didn't really start the full retaliation that Israel said that it would do. The ground operation is very limited as we speak, and many Israelis are wondering why. Why did Israel didn't immediately retaliate against Hamas, trying to save these hostages, the kids, the babies, and the others, and actually to get rid of the Hamas terrorist regime in Gaza? And the reason, I believe, is because Israel was trying to give a chance for a rapid negotiation with Hamas via probably Qatar, Egypt, and others, in order to have some kind of a deal in which they would free at least what we call the humanitarian deal. They would release the women, the kids, the babies, the elderly people, still holding a few soldiers that they have and maybe a few men, but in return for relieving the situation on their own population in Gaza and giving humanitarian aid in large scale to Gaza. It seems that they only stole time, and that's, I think, the Israeli understanding, and this is why Israel started some kind of a ground operation. In my view, it's mainly to pressure them to agree to a humanitarian deal sooner than later.
Interesting. I mean, from your perspective, theoretically, what is an effective counter-terrorism response to the threat of Hamas and what Hamas did to Israel? Because we hear so many times over the fact that Hamas has used civilians as human shield. Obviously, the Israeli Defense Forces saying that they have bases of their operations under areas like hospitals, and therefore Israel uses that as justification for bombing civilian targets. What is an effective way of stamping out a terrorist group like that without inflicting devastating humanitarian catastrophe and also turning hearts and minds against Israel?
Well, Israeli leaders and the public at large refers to the situation in Gaza, to the war in Gaza, as an existential war for Israel. And one should wonder, how come you have a group of terrorists, huge group, 3,000 terrorists infiltrated to Israel, butchered 1,400 Israeli civilians. But still, this is not an existential threat to Israel. So how come we refer to that as such? Because we need to understand the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that Hamas and the Palestinians at large are only a tool in the toolbox of the monster, which is Iran, that from the day of establishing the Iranian Republic by Khomeini, they declared as an operative goal to exterminate Israel. I don't know any other precedent in the world that one sovereign state declared that they have an operative goal to exterminate another country. And they use two armies for that. The first army is the Palestinian army, i.e. Hamas, that attacked us. This is not Hamas attacking us. This is Hezbollah misusing the Palestinians for that matter. Excuse me, this is Iran misusing the Palestinians for that matter. But they have another army, which is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is 10 times stronger than Hamas and is not fully activated against Israel yet. Whatever Israel would do in retaliation to the Palestinians is being learned by Hezbollah. If Israel would not make it clear to Hamas that they actually played it wrong for their own interests and would not force them to pay the price for the atrocity, the crime against humanity that they've done 3 weeks ago, Hezbollah in no time will infiltrate to the north of Israel and cause 10 times more damages and actually threaten, if it will be simultaneously, threaten the existence of Israel. And this is why we refer to that very, very seriously. We are fighting, as we feel, an existential war. And we are fighting against an enemy which is entrenched intentionally within civilian regions. We are calling civilians to evacuate certain neighborhoods in Gaza. They force them to stay there because they want them to die within the military clashes between the two sides. That's practically the situation that we are facing. And I think that the international community should understand that they have a role here. And the role is not just to stand on the fence and criticize both sides and have some politically correctness statements. They have to call a spade, say Israel was attacked severely, savagely on a holiday with no reason for that by an Iranian army. Israel has all the right in the world to defend itself, of course, under the rules of the international law. Believe me, we are trying to be more proportional and distinctive than any other army under those conditions.
Boaz Ganor, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.